You are walking through the north end of Boston. It is a freezing afternoon in January, 1919. Suddenly, you hear a strange sound echoing down the street. It sounds like a machine gun firing, followed by a deep, terrifying rumble. You turn around, expecting to see a train derailing or a building collapsing. Instead, you see something that defies all logic. A 25-foot-tall wave of dark, sticky liquid is rushing directly toward you at 35 miles per hour. It is a literal tsunami of syrup. This sounds like a ridiculous punchline from a cartoon. But the Great Molasses Flood was one of the most bizarre and horrifying tragedies in American history. It started at a massive industrial storage facility. A 50-foot-tall steel tank was holding over 2 million gallons of thick, heavy molasses. The company that built the tank had aggressively cut corners. They used cheap, thin steel, and they completely ignored the warning signs when the tank started groaning and leaking. In fact, they literally painted the tank brown just to hide the leaks. On that fateful afternoon, the temperature outside rapidly increased. The sudden heat caused the gas inside the syrup to expand, creating massive pressure. Until finally, the steel ripped wide open. 2.3 million gallons of molasses exploded into the streets. The force of the wave was so incredibly powerful that it snapped solid steel train girders in half. It picked up entire houses off their foundations and smashed them into kindling. But the most terrifying part was not the initial impact. It was the aftermath. Molasses behaves very differently than water. When it burst out of the tank, it was warm and moving fast. But as soon as it hit the freezing winter air of Boston, the thick syrup rapidly cooled and hardened. It turned the streets into a giant, inescapable trap. People and horses were caught in the sticky mess, unable to move, trapped exactly like prehistoric insects in amber. The harder they struggled, the deeper they sank into the dark syrup. Rescue workers had to wade through waist-deep, freezing sludge, struggling to pull victims out by force. It took months to clean the city, using fireboats to blast the streets with saltwater. But you cannot completely wash away 2 million gallons of sugar. For decades after the disaster, locals swore that on hot summer days, the sweet, sickening smell of molasses would still rise up from the cobblestone streets. You are walking through the north end of Boston. You smell something sweet in the air. And the next time you pour syrup over your breakfast, remember the day a city was swallowed whole by a sticky, terrifying tsunami.